Hi, this is Ron Darling.
This is Skip Lockwood.
Hi, I'm Ron Swoboda of the 69 New York Mets, and you're listening to MetsMusings with Gary Mack.
Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of MetsMusings.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of MetsMusings. Hope you had a great week out there. It's cold, it snowed here in the Northeast, but in Florida, it is pitchers and catchers day. Yes, spring training has finally started, and the players are there officially now. We're going to have some reports about that. But the big news, of course, is Pete Alonso is back in a Mets uniform. He has signed or agreed to a $54 million deal, 2 years. He's got an option for $24 million next year. He can opt out for that $24 million or opt out completely if he has a big year. He will now make $30 million this year, and again, the highest one-year contract for a first baseman in MLB history. The 30-year-old, as I said, he's probably going to opt out next year to once again test the market, try to cash in on a long-term deal. But, you know, that could be risky. I mean, first he's got to have a big year, and he'll be 31 next year. So, don't know about that strategy, but hey, look, if he has an off season this year, he doesn't have to opt out. He's still got $24 million in the bank, and then we'll be going through this scenario again next year. However, next year also, unless the Blue Jays extend Vladimir Guerrero, he will be a free agent, so that'll add a little bit more mystery to the whole situation next season. But let's not worry about next year. Let's worry about this year. And what got this deal done? Well, as I said last week, I had a feeling something was going to take place. Something was going to happen. Something had to give. We were getting near spring training. Pete wants to be with the boys. He wants to stay in New York. He always wanted to stay in New York. And by the way, don't be surprised if he fires Scott Boras, because I don't think these negotiations went the way he thought. But Steve Cohen got involved with the Mets. And he wanted to have Pete back, and Steve Cohen had a sit-down meeting with Pete Alonso, according to John Heyman, and he said, I really wanted to humanize the negotiations. I want him to hear it straight from me, two human beings having a real conversation. I was clear. I told him, I want you back. We want you back. And so they did. They got a deal done, and Pete will be back for 2025 at least. And, you know, really, David Stearns and Steve Cohen really set an important precedent in these negotiations. They didn't negotiate against themselves. It would have been very easy for them, with all the money that Steve Cohen has, it would have been very easy to throw a lot of money at Alonso and say, you know, here it is. But they read the market correctly. There wasn't much of a market out there. They knew his desire to stay in New York. And so they played it close to the vest. all the while wanting him to come back, but at their money. And it's it's a good thing to see. It's a kind of a small market mentality, but it also shows that they're not going to be taken for a ride. Now, I know everybody's going to say, well, look at the money they gave to Soto. But the market was there for Soto. You had to lay out that kind of money to get Soto. And be glad as Met fans that we have an owner that's willing to pay that kind of money for a player, that's willing to be in on a negotiation for a top-line player like that. But yet they've got David Stern there, who has the experience, if you will, with lower priced market, and can handle that as well, and can help restrain a little bit when the need arises. So the bottom line is this: they didn't compete against themselves in order to sign Pete, and they got Pete at a more reasonable rate than certainly he wanted to, but at something that they were completely comfortable at. So he's back. He'll join the lineup with Soto. People have been speculating where they'll all hit in the lineup. I would imagine Soto's been hitting second a lot of last year, so they'll keep him in the number 2 slot behind Lindor. Pete will probably be third. Some people have Nimmo fourth. I would think you may want to go with Vientos fourth. I could see where Nimmo would break it up, the righty-lefty deal. But he's not really a pure cleanup hitter. It could be Winker at the DH spot hitting cleanup when he's in there. So we'll see how it all works out. This is what spring training is for. Mendoza is very happy to have Mr. Alonso back, and can't wait for him, I would imagine, to get into camp. So that's one thing that he'll be happy about. Now, some other things coming from camp, some comments. Kodai Senga, of course, is in camp. He's looking forward to the season. He is healthy. He's looking forward to the camp and staying healthy and going into the season. He said through an interpreter, I expect to be healthy and be pitching a lot of innings so we can go deep into the postseason. Ryan Stanek, who re-signed with the Mets, said he came back to the Mets, but he was, happy to stay in Queens. He wanted to. It didn't look like he may be able to, but was definitely happy when he signed with the Mets. It was something where I enjoyed my time here. We were obviously hopeful that it would be something that would happen, but it wasn't something that I thought, oh, this is a sure thing. But it came together pretty quick, which was cool, Stanek said. Just the clubhouse and the vibe, and obviously the team is good. Stanek added, when asked why he enjoyed last season with the Mets, they were really welcome to me and my family. And so another happy camper. Francisco Alvarez is in camp, and he said he's coming off his best off season, and that he made a little change. And he is working more on the mental part of his game. He made changes hitting, catching, and mentally. And he thinks his mind is going to be way stronger than last year. So I think getting some mentally gains, I think that was the key for this year for me. So we shall see. Looking forward to seeing what Alvarez does. If Alvarez can have a big year, go back to his rookie season, hit 25 home runs, so that's going to be some dynamite lineup. If McNeil can find it again. Don't forget, he's only 2 or 3 seasons away from past winning the batting title. So if he can find the magic again, this is going to be some lineup with Lindor, Soto, Alonso. Vientos can continue. McNeil, Winker, Alvarez. It's going to be pretty good. Tyrone Taylor, Jose Siri filling in there as well. And Marte perhaps, though a lot of people seem to feel that the Mets are going to trade him before the season starts, but there hasn't been a lot of takers for Starling, so we'll have to see what happens there. Okay, and reportedly, the Mets have offered or had offered Jose Iglesias a 1-year contract, but he is seeking a multi-year deal and is sticking to his guns. Now, there's been some confusion about that because some sources have said that he is not looking for a multi-year deal, but I read yesterday that that's not true either, that he is seeking a multi-year contract. So whether or not he comes back to the team could be a big question mark. They do have the other options. Brett Beatty could be an option now at second base. And Acuna, of course, will be in the mix for second base, as well as Jeff McNeil, the aforementioned McNeil that we talked about. Acuna could be a backup at shortstop and take over the Iglesias type of role. And don't forget, they had signed Madrigal, who is another guy that could fill in at a number of different positions. So what the Mets are doing now is just gonna figure it all out in spring training, and that's what spring training's for. So we shall see what they can do, and it's exciting that now spring training's here. We have, I think there was 39 players on the spring training roster, was it? 39 pitchers on the spring training roster, so a lot to be seen, and that work is going to be cut out for him, the coaching staff, but I'm sure they're happy for that and happy to get started. All right, let's take a break, and we'll be back right after this.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
Okay, and we're back, and manager Carlos Mendoza, talked to the press before spring training kicked off, and he mentioned a few things, and some of the things we already mentioned. There is a battle for second base, so he hinted that McNeil is probably the front runner. It's his job to lose, but he said that Brett Beatty would be getting some reps there, as well as Acuna, and Acuna will be getting some reps at third as well, and Beatty, of course, will get some at third. Also, that nothing is set in stone yet, except for, of course, first and third, and probably left field and right field, definitely, and probably catcher. There are some jobs still open, mainly in the bullpen, the utility infield role, and the rotation. Things are not fully defined as of now. He said that Mendoza said that they are looking at a 6-man rotation. That is the plan to keep these guys fresh and hopefully healthy as well as the season progresses. So they are going with a 6-man rotation this year. And Jose Butto will be a reliever. And if you remember last year, Butto had a terrific season there. He was dominating for a while, and then he struggled a little bit at the end of the year and in the postseason, but he had not pitched that much before, so they're going to have to watch how they use some of these bullpen guys, and I think they learned a lot last year. Who they can go to every day, who they need to have a game or two rest. They used Nunez a lot, and that could have led to the injury that he had. They'll have to be more careful with him. But if they can get, the whole key is going to be the starting. If they can get 5 or 6 innings out of these guys, then that'll keep the bullpen rested, and they'll be able to manipulate these guys. A starter going 3 innings, and then they got to use the bullpen the rest of the game. That's what gets the guys in there a lot. If they can get these guys to 5 or 6 innings, 7 innings even, it'll help immensely. But it'll work better with the bullpen this year, hopefully. They've got some different faces, got some faces returning, and they know how to use some of these guys. Don't forget, last year, Butto was a starting pitcher, essentially, and they moved him into the bullpen. They didn't know how he was going to react pitching every day or every other day. It's a big lesson learned. It's a lesson that he learned and something that they learned. They didn't know that much about Nunez, I don't think. And again, I think they overused him, and they'll be more careful about that this year. Same thing with some of the other guys, maybe they sat too much, like Gastanik. Maybe they should have used him a bit more. But they know these guys now. They know Gastanik. They know Butto. They know Nunez. They have a feel for how they can use these guys. And don't forget, you've got A.J. Minter in the mix now. So it's going to be an interesting thing to see who rounds out this bullpen. And, of course, it's always fascinating to see how the manager uses them as the season progresses on. So I'm excited. I can't wait until the first game is telecast even. And, it's not going to be that long. So it's coming, and it's coming fast. All right, the Mets also signed right-handed pitcher Andrew Carson from the University of Tampa to a minor league deal, according to multiple reports. He pitched to a 1.06 ERA and a 0.91 WHIP over 34 innings in 14 games last year, earning 2024 ABCA/Rawlings NCAA Division II South All-Region First Team honors. The 24-year-old went 2-1 during the 2024 season, recorded 32 strikeouts with 11 walks and 5 saves. Carson has been training at Tread Athletics this offseason, where his average fastball velocity was set at 95.5 miles per hour with a max velocity of 96.9 miles per hour. So Andrew Carson is another young guy that they signed. He'll probably go to Syracuse or Binghamton to start off with. Don't think that they will do anything with him too much off the bat, but they brought him in, and maybe we'll see him during the season, if not one of the at a later date. And don't forget, they have young guys that are going to be in camp as well. Brandon Sproat, Dom Hamill, a couple of the other guys may be in there as well. So it's possible we may see some of those during this season. And right-handed Dylan Covey is one guy we're not going to see. He was outrighted off the Mets 40-man roster last week. He's elected free agency, and he was never included in the team's list of the 67 players who will participate in the Major League camp. And he signed a split big league deal with the Mets back in late October that would have paid him $850,000 in the majors or $350,000 in the minors. Since he has fewer than 5 years of MLB service, Covey would forfeit any guarantees on that deal, presumably just the minor league split, by rejecting the assignment and going back to the market. So, Dylan Covey, who we hardly knew, has come and gone as a Met, but c'est la vie, that's the way it goes sometimes. So good luck to him. So that about wraps it up. I mean, spring training has started, and we will be bringing you some updates as the camp goes on, and stick with us. We're going to have some guests on in the near future, and have some authors on. There's a couple of books that are out that are very interesting, and you may want to read about them, and so we'll have that. And as I said, we'll have some guests on, and during the season, we'll have, once the season starts, we'll have try to get people from out of town that cover their specific teams to break down the teams when they come into town. So until next time, please hit the subscribe button and the like button if you like the show and the content, and remember to keep the faith and stay optimistic. And let's go Mets. And I'm Gary Mack, and I'll see you next time on another edition of Mets Musings.